Let's get into the Cartoonist Corner with Johannes Leek from the Australian newspaper and Warren Brown from the Daily Telegraph. Good to talk to you again, gentlemen. I want to give you the floor to start with, Warren, because we're looking forward to ANZAC Day next Tuesday, of course, and you've got a long and proud history of involvement with ANZAC Day, both here and in Turkey at Gallipoli. Tell us what you've got planned for the day and what you think the nation will do this year.
Well, this year, Chris, thank you so much. But this year I'll be spending ANZAC Day in the country town of Terralga in New South Wales. I know you've been in that district before when you were doing the wind farm there, but I'll be there at the dawn service and I'll be there for the luncheon later and I'll be there for the march. So my dad was in 460 Squadron RAAF Bomber Command Lancasters in Binbrook in the UK, and I found out, Dad used to talk, he never said anything much, but he said he was in the Air Force. That's all I ever really knew. But after he passed away, 460 Squadron had their records digitised, and he completed a full tour of 31 operations over Nazi-occupied Europe. And my grandfather was in the 30th Battalion AIF in the First World War. He came back as a semi-invalid after being chlorine gassed. So I'm very well aware of just how lucky I am to exist at all. But anything that I can do that can commemorate and, where possible, in those moments celebrate the great things that Australians have done in uniform, I'm there.
Yeah, it's such an important day for the nation. Those family connections are so strong. Of course, my grandfather fought on the Somme, an Irishman fighting for the British Army that didn't sit too happily on his shoulders. It's your involvement in ANZAC and the way you tell the stories and share the stories, Warren, is something to be really proud of. And Johannes, you'd have a different background on this event too, I suppose. Your family is stretched across both sides of the Second World War.
Yeah, look, that's true. My grandfather was in New Guinea in the Navy, actually, telegraphist in the Australian Navy. And look, we don't know a whole lot about my mum's extended family, other than she was born in Frankfurt shortly after the Second World War. And there's been a little bit of investigation into the potential identity of her father, and all these leads point back to the possibility that he may well have been an American serviceman stationed in Frankfurt after the war. So yes, it's the Second World War certainly brings a whole lot of threads together for my family.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Absolutely fascinating. Now, I want to talk about a great Australian, that is Barry Humphries, who's in hospital at the moment. There's been a lot of focus on him. We're hoping he recovers from a serious illness, and we've been talking about that here on Sky News for a couple of days. I want to show a little bit here, Johannes, of a fantastic event, a book launch of your father's. This is Bill Leak's book launch at the Centre for Independent Studies. The surprise guest was Barry Humphries there as Sir Les Patterson. It was such a brilliant night. I'm so sad that I wasn't there. I had the chance to be there but got waylaid. And of course, tragically, Bill died only a couple of days after that event. Let's have a listen to a little of what Sir Les had to say that night.
But Bill's Australia's Rembrandt. He's our Warhol, our Jeff Koons. And I was absolutely gobsmacked to hear he also drew cartoons.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. And Johannes, that's you too now. You're doing all those wonderful, wonderful portraits that Sir Les would, of course, know all about, but not those scribbly cartoons you do in the newspapers.
Yeah, that was an amazing night. And look, we were all wishing Barry the very best. So sorry to hear that he's in hospital and he's not doing so well. But we need him, and we need him back on his feet, getting us all to laugh at ourselves, and in his incredibly wonderful, irreverent Australian way. And look, I have amazing memories of that night, and also he delivered the most incredible obituary at my dad's memorial service, which I'll never forget. And they had a great friendship, and I think mutually admired one another quite a lot. And So, yes, our thoughts are with Barry and wishing him a speedy recovery.
All the best to Barry Humphries. Warren is such a great Australian. He was a cross-dresser before it was woke.
He was, but so Johannes and Chris, I've got to tell you something. So Johannes' dad, Bill, painted this amazing portrait of Sir Les, of course, and he needed an RSL badge to be pinned on the portrait. And so I stole my dad's RSL badge, and it's on that portrait. My dad just said, his dad's been dead for about 15 years now, but he said, "Are you ever seen my RSL badge?" I said, "Dad, no, I haven't actually." Pinned on that portrait.
And plastic flies that you had to source too, Warren, is that right?
I got the plastic flies. I did. I found the plastic flies.
It's brilliant. It's a work of sculpture as well as a portrait. Well, at least your father knows that badge is hanging in a very special place now.
But Chris, can I just barge in? The one great poem that Sir Les had was, "As I wandered down the Earl's Court Road, into a pub I was lured. Where are you from?" asked the greasy pom as I downed the amber fluid. "I'm Australian, mate, with the beer is great, but I feel like getting plastered. But the beer here's crook and the girls will look like you pommy bastard." What a great stuff.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining us, Warren Brown and Johannes Leek. We'll catch up with you next week, and all our best to the great Barry Humphries.